Impossible Landscapes. Jorgen glanced down at the page, covered in notes, at the top of which he'd written, Edmundo, and circled it 3 times with increasing agitation as the interview had continued. He sighed. He hadn't joined the civil service to end up as a glorified scrivener, but it seemed to be how he spent an increasing amount of his time. So this is definitely in regards to the plenipotentiary of the Archmage of Autumn, then?
Yes!
The emissary was easily 7 feet tall, and while humanoid in outline, no real details could be made out beneath the layers of cosmogony yellow silk that shrouded them from head to foot. It was the arms that gave away the fact that the visitor was something other than human. Jorgen's guest possessed 4 of them, with long, dexterously expressive, many-jointed fingers that wove and twisted in the air when they spoke. I can't see them being very happy about this, said Jorgen in a moment of unguarded candidness.
Such a shame,
said the emissary without a hint of sympathy. With a gentle susurrus of silk on silk, they pressed the delicate fingers of their hands together in 2 pairs, and politely inclined their head.
I think that concludes our business.
I suppose, said Jorgen, a little doubtfully, quickly rereading his notes again to make sure they were clear. We are talking about murder here, are we not? Sorry, but it's not entirely clear from...
I think it is important to note that while the business of the sanguine market is not pleasant,
interrupted the emissary smoothly,
it is just another manifestation of supply and demand. If there were not people angry enough to want someone killed, if there were not assassins prepared to kill for payment, then the market would close. The service of the hired killer is really no different to the service of the paid soldier. Indeed, it could be argued to be a more ethical form of service, in fact. The assassin does not kill indiscriminately, and always knows why they are wielding their blade. Arguably, contracted murder is one of the foremost tools of civilized society.
Behind him, Jorgen heard the distinctive sound of Chief Magistrate Kargovich choking on his breakfast. Jorgen bristled a little himself. He hadn't fought at the Battle of Gildenheim for money. He'd fought because it was his duty, because his people needed him. The sheer smugness radiating from this creature turned his stomach, and he became acutely aware that the emissary was watching him closely, even if he could not see their eyes. It was clearly goading him, eager for another argument. He forced himself to swallow the angry outburst bubbling up inside him.
I suppose you don't really have the leisure for a proper discussion,
said the creature, and Jorgen sensed disappointment in its voice.
I shall merely reiterate that the city has no interest in curtailing legitimate trade, merely because it offends imperial sensibilities. Nor will it place pressure on the sanguine market to disclose the details of their dealings. We consider the matter closed, and thank you for your time.
The emissary bowed again, a trifle more perfunctorily, and spun gracefully around. Before Jorgen could do much more than sputter a farewell, they were gone, bowing their head to pass through the low opening. Dabbing his mouth with a napkin, Kargovich tapped Jorgen on the elbow. I assume your guest will be returning via the Imperial Regio, he asked. His voice was level, but the Chief Magistrate was very red in the face indeed, and clearly spoiling for a proper discussion of paid-for murder. I assume so, but... Jorgen was talking to empty air. Without really waiting for an answer, the Varushkin had hurried out to catch up with the 4-armed representative of the city of gold and lead. The younger civil servant sighed and looked back down at his notes. Tongue protruding slightly from between his teeth, he carefully circled the name Edmundo for a 4th time and added another exclamation mark for good measure. Plenipotentiaries. 5 Eternals responded to plenipotentiary messages from the Imperial Archmages. 4 have agreed to meetings of one kind or another, either in person or via emissaries. While Adamantus declined a formal parley, he has sent his emissaries across the Empire, as detailed in the Wind of Fortune, Stone and Stone, and plans to send a herald to Anvil once the Master of the Kobold Eye is appointed. Every season, each of the 6 Archmages may send a single plenipotentiary message to an Eternal of their realm. The Eternals are bound to respond, although not always in a way the Archmage may wish. Following the autumn equinox, 5 Eternals responded to invitations to parley via their emissaries. Due to the peculiar mist that has not spared Anvil from its memory-altering caress, the details of when these emissaries delivered their responses is unclear. But the messages have been checked and double-checked, and are certainly correct in their details. Lord Rain. Lord Rain has agreed to attend parley, likely on Friday evening. In addition to the Archmage of Spring, the Eternal invites the Grand Master of the Silver Chalice to send up to 4 members of the Order, which may include the Grand Master themselves. The Archmage of Spring is currently Sir Fabien de Miel of Dawn. During the autumn equinox, a group of magicians under the watchful gaze of Spring Archmage Sir Fabien de Miel of Dawn met with an Eternal known as Ossiclan, Lord Rain, Te Anzref, or the Kumarta of the Rains. Lord Rain was apparently placed under enmity by the Imperial Conclave during the reign of Emperor Giovanni, and has had no involvement in Imperial affairs in 350 years, until last season when they requested parley with the Spring Archmage and members of the Silver Chalice. During the parley, Lord Rain's heralds explained that their master's renewed interest in the Empire came from the lasting interdiction against the foul, poisonous Rivers Run Red ritual, and passed along a request that an enduring state of enmity between the Conclave and the Eternal be revoked. Eliane of House Tolstag raised a declaration of neutrality after the meeting, which the Conclave chose to uphold. In early winter, as the first snowfall of the year saw Anvil draped in an ivory blanket, a representative of Ossiclan emerged from the Imperial Regio in the form of a smiling young man, barefoot and wearing naught but a kilt of thick blue wool. The youth then proceeded to dance and sing in the Regio until representatives of the militia were fetched, attracting quite a crowd, some of whom joined the herald in his spontaneous performance, imbibing freely from a seemingly endless flask of sweet water the fellow brought with him that filled those who drank it with energy and a zest for celebration. A civil servant was fetched, and the impromptu party tailed off a little as the emissary focused their attentions on their task, delivering a message from Lord Rain. The Eternal welcomes the invitation of the Spring Archmage, as the fields in summer welcome the gentle rain. They agree to attend a sweet and pool-placid parley with them, and with representatives of the newly established Silver Chalice Conclave Order. Rather than rush forward in a tumult, Ossiclan asks that the Archmage, or their representative, accompany no more than 4 members of the Silver Chalice, chosen by, and potentially including, the Grand Master. The parley will occur at a time to be disclosed, most likely on Friday evening, and during that time Lord Rain will do their best to answer questions and discuss how they and the Silver Chalice can work together to preserve life and ensure the flow of good health to all living things in the Empire. In particular, they would like to continue discussion around the creation of a ritual using the power of the Endless Spring, which the Herald believes was called From the Mountain to the Sea. Apparently, the Eternal was in the middle of negotiating this ritual with the Spring Archmage and representatives of the Unfettered Mind, when the Empire cut relations with them a little while ago, in this case, a little while ago meaning 3.5 centuries, presumably. Ephesus. Ephesus has arranged a meeting with the agents of Prospero and Basileus Flint at a time to be confirmed, likely Saturday afternoon, to discuss matters of the Sanguine Market. The Archmage of Autumn, or representative, is invited to attend, along with up to 2 aides. Livia of the Spire of Celestial Cascade, Lord Colwyn de Rondel, and Astrid Fialrevening Rezia di Tassato are also welcome at the parley, regardless of whether the Archmage attends. The Autumn Archmage is currently Edmundo of Damacan's Forge, of Urizen. A 4-armed diplomat swathed in silken veils brings a message from the City of Golden Lead, in answer to the plenipotentiary of the Autumn Archmage. The emissary gives no name, and begins by offering assurances that no apology is necessary with regards to the offers made during the spring. The main body of their message is an explanation that what Edmundo is asking for is impossible. Free trade is the lifeblood of any true civilization, and the city will not restrict it in any way. Hearts are a commodity like any other. Assassins have the same right to trade with the City of Lead and Gold as any other profession. Specifically, the arrangement between certain families of Faradin and the brokers of the Sanguine Market will remain unchanged, and should others approach them to secure similar services, they will be welcome to do so. Furthermore, the request that the agents of Ephesus inform on those who make use of their services is rejected in the strongest possible terms. The confidentiality of the clients of the City of Lead and Gold is sacrosanct. Reading between the lines, this appears to be a reaction to an attempt by the Autumn Archmage to address reports of a bounty offered on Imperial citizens by the Modnos family of Faradin. Specifically, a 10-throne reward is offered for anyone who places the heart of one of 3 Imperial citizens the Modnos believe to have impugned the good name of one of the family heroes into a box used with the Ephesus scale ritual. In essence, agents of the City of Golden Lead appear to be offering some form of escrow service to facilitate the payment of assassins prepared to work for the Modnos. Furthermore, they are pointedly refusing to stop doing so. However, the diplomat is keen to stress that the opportunity for profit still exists. The markets of the city of Ledengol bustle with buyers and sellers from every city in the realm. 2 of them, agents of the city of Bridges and the city of Locks, have expressed an interest in meeting with the Archmage to discuss what they could offer to help the Empire with this problem. To this end, the city has arranged for a chamber to be available from the Hall of Worlds, at a time to be confirmed, likely Saturday afternoon, where these agents will present their offers. The Archmage is invited to bring themselves and no more than 2 aides, should they wish to hear what the agents of Prospero and Basileus Flint have to say. In addition, any of those people endangered by the brokers of the Sanguine Market, specifically Livia of the Spire of Celestial Cascade, Lord Colwyn de Rondel, and Astrid Fiel Revening Rizia di Tassato, are also free to attend the meeting, either alongside the Archmage or in their place. Ephesus's emissary categorically assures Imperial citizens that the rules of the parley will be scrupulously observed. Anyone attending this meeting will be safe from attempted assassination. Roshanwe. Roshanwe has arranged a parley at a time to be confirmed, likely Saturday afternoon. The Eternal invites 5 very specific individuals to meet with her emissary. The current Archmage of Day is Skywise Gralka of the Imperial Orcs. In the darkest hour of the night, a herald of the Eternal Roshanwe arrives at Anvil, via the Imperial Regia. She is dressed in the manner of a high-born sailor, albeit in a style 3 centuries out of date, and carries a burning torch. Untroubled by the late hour, she unerringly seeks out a civil servant, rousing them from their bed to receive a message from the Weaver of Nets. When the civil servant politely draws attention to the lateness of the hour, the emissary reminds them that if one has light, one should take it into darkness, not waste it in noonday. The civil servant remains unamused, but professionalism can fill even the grumpiest of hearts. The emissary, who gives no name, indicates that Roshanwe is pleased to receive the message of the Archmage of Day. Regretfully, however, the herald apologises that the Beachcomber is simply unable to sponsor the Archmage's festival. Newness, novelty, inspiration, these things have their place, but in general they are perhaps more suited to the dark shadows of night than to the shiny beacon of day. While it sounds like it could be a worthy endeavour, unfortunately there is little in the idea of innovation for its own sake that aligns with the Navigator's remit, and nothing that they could help with. Moreover, there is danger in such things. At least one great civilization of past ages that valued innovation found itself devoured by catastrophe, its heirs left to wander the trods for untold generations, and the walker on the littoral wishes no such fate for the Empire. However, Roshanwe does seek a closer friendship between herself and the Empire, and would welcome an opportunity to parley. She earnestly desires a meeting between some of her favoured and 5 Imperial citizens, and hopes that the Archmage today will honour her wishes and arrange this. If she is prepared to do so, then the Navigator asks for a meeting with the Archmage of Day themselves, or their representatives, a torchbearer of good standing among their peers, a hero with a questing spirit, a beacon of wisdom, and a magician of the sevenfold path who speaks with the voice of their order. Each of the 5 seekers must be a different person, each of the 5 must come from a different Imperial nation, and each of them must be prepared to share a tale of seeking or discovery. The emissary is confident that there will be plenty to talk about during the meeting. Roshanwe's interest in the Empire is deep and abiding. Sung. Sung offers parley at a time to be confirmed, likely Saturday night. The Eternal is particularly interested in meeting with a Wintermark mystic and a Hakima of the Brass Coast. The Seer of the Gateway is also invited. The current Archmage of Night is Alicia Thane of Urizen. As the sun sets over the snow-dusted fields, one final emissary from the Eternal Realms walks the streets of Anvil. A stout pilgrim bearing a dark lantern and a staff of feather-hung wood, the emissary wears the patchwork cloak of a Varushkan storyteller. He finds the hub busy with preparations for the coming summit, and waits patiently until noticed by one of the civil servants. Smiling gently, he delivers a message from the Rainbow Serpent for the ears of Imperial magicians. The Eternal Sung will attend parley. The Archmage is invited to bring themselves, or their representative, and up to 3 others to meet with the Lord of Illusions, who will speak to them of more mundane matters. Sung asks that the group include at least 1 Wintermark mystic, at least 1 Hakima of the Brass Coast, and at least 1 Varushkan who is wise in the ways of mysteries. Finally, she requests that Livia of the Celestial Cascade, known to some as the Seer of the Gateway, also attend the meeting. The ever-flowing river does not mandate or demand the presence of these people, it simply changes what topics will be discussed. Accessibility information. The audience with Sung will take place in darkness, and there will be some lighting effects, although no strobe lighting. Adamant. Adamant does not seek parley, but is dispatching some of his Koboldai to speak with the Summer Archmage, and the Master of the Koboldai once they are appointed. The current Archmage of Summer is Brother Luke of the Shattered Tower. King Adamant has been busy in the Empire in recent years, offering the aid of his Koboldai to construct great edifices of stone, or to work in the mines of Imperial citizens. A small group of his little-scaled servants appears with due pomp and ceremony at the civil service hub in Anvil, bringing with them a proclamation. The king on the granite throne thanks the Summer Archmage for their gracious words, and looks forward to many more years of friendship with the Empire. The Eternal is very pleased to see that the College of Engineering has finally been completed in Temeshwar. It may have taken a little longer than anticipated, but what is time to a creature as everlasting and unchanging as adamant? The king, 'neath the Diamond Peak, anticipates that the Imperial Conclave will be appointing the first Master of the Koboldai during the coming solstice, via the declaration of candidacy. He has arranged for his Koboldai to deliver some regalia to the bearer of this historic title once they are confirmed. The emissary will chat with the Summer Archmage at the same time, if they are available. More importantly, however, he has dispatched his servants to every corner of the Empire, to see how they might combine their skills with Imperial wealth. The intent is to create a list of unique architectural projects that the Master of the Koboldai might find interesting. Over the next 3 months, Koboldai pop up all over the Empire, measuring, studying, asking questions, and talking enthusiastically with Imperial citizens. They're enthusiastic about offering their aid to individuals in return for treasure, precious stones, gold, silver, and platinum for the most part, but mostly they are looking for opportunities, chances to build imposing or valuable things to cement the bond between Adamant and the people of the Empire. And quite a list of projects they come up with too. From statues of great beasts to an unbreakable tower and a magical forge, the Koboldai have over half a dozen suggestions for commissions the Master, whoever that ends up being, might want to give thought to. It's not all good news, however. In addition to the opportunities the Koboldai have presented, they've also discovered a potential threat to the Empire, a terrible force gathering in the depths of the northwestern sinkhole. You can learn more about what the Koboldai have been up to in the Stone and Stonewind of Fortune. Kayla. The Eternal Kayla declines a parley with the Winter Archmage. She offers to extend the gift of Kayla to those fighting the Valorn, but requires an invitation to do so. The current Archmage of Winter is Sin Truthwalker Returned. The night before the first travellers begin to arrive at Anvil for the winter solstice, a messenger in dusty robes brings a message from the Black Dog, the Eternal Kayla. Obviously of Axos extraction, her unwholesome skin crinkles and rustles like paper when she walks. She is clearly one of the undying legions that attend upon the Sorrowful One. As is generally the case with emissaries of the Queen of Silence, the message she bears is short and to the point. The Lady of the Grim Host already offers her gift to those Imperial citizens who face lingering torment at the hands of the Druge. It is no great matter for her to reach out her hand to those who face the horrors of the Valorn. She can do so in Broceliand and Liathavan without difficulty. She already has the amity of the Imperial Conclave, and so there would be no real obstacle to giving her blessing to those in Hircinia and Theranin. However, that being said, in the past when Kayla has offered her gifts to Imperial citizens, she has faced opposition from the Imperial Synod. She requires the explicit approval of Imperial priests before she will lend her aid against the Valorn. She wishes to see a statement of principle raised in the General Assembly that encourages those in dire straits to accept the gift of Kayla, and to find solace in the swift and painless oblivion it brings. If the statement achieves a greater majority, then those fighting against the Valorn in the 4 territories where it currently dwells will be able to call on her gift. The Valorn will find no purchase in bodies reduced to dust. Should the Assembly request her aid in this fashion, she will turn her thoughts to how else she might be able to help the Empire bring an end to the Valorn. Fulfilling this request may prove tricky, however. At the very least, there is evidence that those who accept the gift of Kayla cannot be contacted with whispers through the Black Gate, and the spiritual implications of that have yet to be fully explored. The Cold-Hearted has offered no explanation for this apparent side effect. Timetable. At the moment, these terms are quite vague and represent a best guess. They will be finalised before the winter solstice. In each case, the parleys will take place in an encounter tent, which will involve a short walk from the Hall of Worlds. Accessibility information. The audiences with Sung and Lord Rain will involve NPCs that are created with SFX, rather than being portrayed physically by members of crew. If you would normally lip read and would like to talk about how we can help, you can contact Plot as early as possible before the meeting. A parley with Lord Rain, Eternal of the Spring Realm, will occur most likely on Friday evening. A meeting with Ephesus, Eternal of the Autumn Realm, along with the agents of other cities, will occur on Saturday during the day. A parley with Proshanwe, Eternal of the Day Realm, will occur, most likely on Saturday during the day. A dual parley with Sung, Eternal of the Night Realm, will occur most likely on Saturday after dark, along with storytelling in the Hall of Worlds. No formal parley will occur with Adamant, Eternal of the Summer Realm, but he will dispatch servants once the title of the Master of the Koboldai is appointed by the Imperial Conclave.